Imagine waking up one day to realize something terrifying. Most people around you have stopped questioning anything. The world has grown so loud, so fast, so saturated with information that the human mind, once a weapon of inquiry, of discovery, of transformation, has dulled into passive acceptance. Stop here and ask yourself, when was the last time you truly questioned what you were told, or did you just scroll past it? Now think, what happens to a society where critical thinking disappears? Where reflection is replaced by instant reactions? Where reason collapses into memes, slogans, and echo chambers? Where the crowd decides truth by applause? This isn't a dystopian novel. This is happening right now. And philosophers have a name for it: collective stupidity. A phenomenon where masses of people adopt shallow thinking, blindly accept narratives, and surrender their independence without realizing it. But why? And more importantly, who benefits? Stay with me, because what I'm about to show you could explain why you feel society is spiraling into chaos and why your own mind is at war every single day. Thinking is hard. And in today's world, it's discouraged. Algorithms feed you what you already believe. Schools teach you what to memorize, not how to think. Media rewards outrage, not reflection. The result? A population addicted to reaction, allergic to contemplation. Philosopher Noam Chomsky warned decades ago about the manufacturing of consent. Power structures survive not because people resist, but because they stop thinking. And when you stop thinking, you are easier to control. Do your opinions come from you, or were they fed to you, disguised as your own thoughts? Neuroscientist Daniel Levitin discovered something terrifying. The average human today processes 5 times more information per day than a person did just a few decades ago. Think about that. 5 times more data flooding into the same fragile brain. Notifications, news, ads, opinions. Every waking hour your mind is assaulted. And here's the dark truth: your brain wasn't designed for this. When overwhelmed, it doesn't rise to the challenge. It collapses into shortcuts. It leans on cognitive biases instead of reasoning. It follows the herd instead of thinking independently. It obeys authority instead of checking facts. This is social proof. If thousands like it, if millions repeat it, it must be true. But that's not truth speaking. That's your survival brain begging for safety. And this is why lies spread faster than facts. Because truth requires time, effort, discomfort, while lies are engineered to be easy, familiar, viral. Stop and ask yourself, how many of your beliefs are truths you've tested, and how many are just echoes you've inherited? Neuroscientist Marianne Wolf warns that our brains are literally being rewired by digital media. We no longer read. We skim. We swipe. We scroll. We consume fragments but lose depth. But here's the price. Deep thought requires focus. You can't analyze in 10 seconds. You can't reflect between swipes. You can't understand while checking notifications every 2 minutes. Ask yourself, when was the last time you read something long without reaching for your phone? This is why critical thinking is disappearing. Not because humanity has become stupid, but because humanity has become distracted into stupidity. Carl Sagan once warned, "We live in a society exquisitely dependent on science and technology, in which hardly anyone knows anything about science and technology." His warning wasn't ignorance itself. It was the erosion of the capacity to think critically about what we depend on to survive. A terrifying irony. Humanity has never had so much access to information, and yet has never been so incapable of processing it wisely. Here's the darker truth no one wants to admit. Critical thinking isn't just hard. It's painful. It tears at your ego. It cracks your certainty. It drags you into cognitive dissonance, that mental anguish when reality doesn't match belief. And most people? They'll do anything to avoid that pain. They'd rather stay comfortable than be free. Psychologist Erich Fromm, in Escape from Freedom, explained that many people secretly long to surrender their freedom of thought, because freedom demands responsibility. And responsibility is terrifying. So instead of thinking, people obey. Repeat. Scroll. And in doing so, they become obedient without even realizing it. What comforts are you clinging to? Not because they're true, but because they protect you from the pain of change. Social media has weaponized this weakness. These platforms don't reward truth. They reward reaction. Likes, shares, outrage. That's the new currency. And in this economy, the voice of reason is bankrupt. Philosopher Marshall McLuhan warned, "The medium is the message. The medium shapes the mind." And today's mediums don't reward reflection. They reward speed over depth, anger over nuance, certainty over humility. Truth is no longer about what's real. It's about what's viral. And in this new cage, the louder you scream, the more you're rewarded, while the quiet voice of thought is drowned in the algorithmic noise. Psychologist Daniel Kahneman revealed that the brain runs on two systems. Fast brain, emotional, instinctive, impulsive. Slow brain, rational, analytical, effortful. Modern life forces you into fast brain. You react instead of reflect. You feel instead of think. And those who control the world know this. That's why politicians use fear. Advertisers use desire. Media uses outrage. Because fear, desire, and outrage bypass your slow brain. And once your emotions are hijacked, your thoughts follow like a puppet on strings. This is why confirmation bias is so lethal. Once you adopt a belief, your brain will fight to defend it, no matter how wrong. Ask yourself right now, how often do you truly test your own beliefs? Or are you simply hunting for proof that you're already right? Sociologist Irving Janis called it groupthink. The desperate desire for harmony leads groups into catastrophic decisions. History proves it. The Challenger disaster, where engineers knew the shuttle could fail but stayed silent. Financial crashes, where everyone rode the bubble, ignoring obvious collapse. Genocides, where ordinary people obeyed unspeakable orders to avoid standing out. And here's the chilling part. It wasn't stupidity. It was fear of exclusion. Because going against the group doesn't just take intelligence, it takes courage. And courage is rarer than genius. Think about this. How many times have you stayed silent in a room, not because you agreed, but because you feared being the only one who didn't? Here's what most people don't want to hear. Critical thinking isn't just an intellectual act. It's a spiritual rebellion. It's choosing truth over comfort, freedom over obedience, clarity over illusion. Philosopher Carl Jung said, "People will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls." And that's the heart of the problem. We don't just avoid thinking about the world. We avoid thinking about ourselves. But if you dare to face your mind, your fears, your biases, your illusions, you step into real freedom. Because the most revolutionary act today isn't shouting louder, posting faster, or winning debates. It's to think.